everyone, and welcome to another Modular Community AMA. Thank you all for joining us. We've had one of our busiest development periods yet. So today's AMA is going to focus on walking everyone through everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks. And before we move into the community questions that were submitted ahead of today's AMA, we've got a lot to cover today, so let's get right to it. All right, so I'm going to remind everybody about the modular mission number 5. If you haven't been able to do that, you should check it out. We're going to have 5 winners, 3 from X, 1 from Facebook, and 1 from Instagram. So we love seeing the community participate. So if you haven't already, make sure you do that. And make sure you enter before the deadline, which is on Friday, I think it was the 7th. Sorry, I ain't got the calendar in front of me.
Yeah, it should be Tuesday,
No,
right?
it's Friday.
It is Friday.
Yeah, I can't see. Yeah, I don't have to. Sorry, guys. But anyhow, check that post out. And again, if you haven't participated, we would like for you to get involved. And yeah, okay. So with development updates, Chris, probably one of the biggest milestones this week was payment process officially going live. Can you explain what changed?
Yeah, so this was a really big one here. But first and foremost, I'd like to, welcome everyone in to this modular mission. And real quick, so everyone is aware, we're also trying something new this go around where we're recording the audio off of another device. So if you can hear us and it sounds really good, definitely let us know. I think Telegram is probably the best way to let us know that for sure, but definitely throw in some hearts and emojis and all that good stuff. Our goal is to try to push this out to YouTube. It isn't the studio that we wanted, but at least it'll be something that people can, sort of enjoy. So if you're listening on YouTube, hi, be sure to like and comment. Now to the question. Yeah, that's something that I've been really excited about and something that honestly has taken a little bit longer than what I thought. So I know with the robotics platform, it took a while for us to develop the Stripe integration process. Unfortunately, most of that was completed whenever we moved over to this realm, but integrating it in with the EMDR token was a little bit of a challenge, but thankfully that does work. And it looks like, well, I myself have transacted anyway.
Okay, you're excited about that.
Yeah, I was very, very happy to see that hit the account and everything just worked the very first time. So yeah, I'm totally amped up. And the best part is that now it means that our platform is getting much closer to a live state. There's still a lot of work to do in the background, but being able to actually accept payments is something pretty massive. So I think that was a really great accomplishment this week.
Yeah, that one surprised me because I wasn't expecting you to go ahead with that one. So yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday we also made another improvement where purchases can now happen directly inside whatever application the user is currently using instead of returning to core first. Can you explain why that's important?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is something that sort of bugged me when we ended up, pushing this thing out there. Um, and it was the idea that you always had to return to the core in order to buy more, credits or, transact. And that's not really a good UI UX feel. So we spent a little bit more time and literally every application that has that little pill in the upper right hand corner, it now is able to accept both crypto and Stripe payments, which is massive, and it helps a lot with just having a better process. The big thing that kind of limited that was the way in which we were handling the Stripe payments, ironically, because there's something called a webhook that would basically sort of relay it back into your website, and where we had wired it up to core, it would always go back to the core. So in fixing that, now that we have a little bit more of a centralized return flow, we're actually able to redirect back to the same page that the person was on. So
That's
huge
good.
improvement.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've now released Office, Storage, and Assets. Can you explain how all three of these products work together inside the modular ecosystem?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'll start with storage because it's so, glaringly obvious. But one of the key factors and one of the original ideals of, our system was to create sort of like a cloud-based service that was, decentralized. And we're still working on the back end on that front. But the idea of storage was to make it so that users could store whatever file that they wanted to on the network and ultimately be able to share it with other people and other individuals so that they could be able to uh, share files within our ecosystem. And fundamentally, storage is going to be like that cornerstone technology that all of our applications will use. And that's one of the big things about what we're building right now within this platform is that everything is layered on top of one another. So while it sort of looks like they're sort of in their own silos right now, they're actually getting hooks in between. And that's what I mean when I say that, we're constantly working within the um, uh, doing work inside of the back end is we're making all those wired up connections and everything like that actually function and behave exactly as we want. And I guess that sort of goes into the idea of office because, one of the things that you definitely want to be able to do whenever you're working inside of our gig application is you would like to kind of keep track of stuff, which is why we created a Excel like system. We also created a what was it, a word taking app. It's much more simplified. So it behaves for people that are familiar with Obsidian, it behaves a lot like that, to where you don't have all the options, but that's kind of the point, is it gets you more focused onto what it is that you're wanting to work on. But the one that I'm most excited about, and it needs more love for sure, is is the one that we call presentation, because I noticed that, especially you doing all of our social media and everything, you're constantly working inside Canva. And I was like, well, why don't we just make a better version of that and make it more open and available and make it to where it integrates with our network?
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's one of the really big things that we're definitely working toward. It's not a Canva killer quite yet, but the intent is to make this to where you can use it for standard slide PowerPoint presentation, if you will, and to also be able to generate promotional materials, which is huge. The big thing that's missing there, or I think the next big hurdle, is being able to generate video based on that content, which we have a couple different ideas on how we can integrate that here soon. But assets, I think assets is pretty much, one of those things that's like super obvious is as you mint products on the network, um, we would like for people to sort of go through the assets layer, which I wish I had that open right now.
Yeah, we have a
But
lot here.
yeah,
Find it.
we did a lot of releases, and honestly, I'm still like,
Yeah, it's been a busy week,
yeah.
guys. We're pushing and we're super excited, like very grateful. It's been a good couple weeks. So we really appreciate all y'all's feedback and, spreading all of these new models that have come out. So yeah. All right. Do you find it?
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, and the big deal with that is, and this is the thing that I'm most excited about, is that it's the first implementation of like the digital marketplace, and having that space where you can not only mint your assets but also be able to list them up for sale and all that cool stuff. It's like it's really amazing, and that's the whole point of the Discover page. So definitely check those out and tell us what you think. they're not live quite yet, but it's getting dangerously close. And I think a little bit later on, we can kind of talk about how close that is actually getting.
Yeah, we've had a lot of great posts, and I love it when I see everybody explain, because I'm a very detailed person. Like I need to know how, like how it works, all that. So I appreciate all you guys who have really broke down these. It's been a great help to me and to others who are just coming across modular. So yeah. Okay, so one of the biggest development updates actually happened today. You mentioned we successfully brought our first two anchor providers online. Can you explain what an anchor actually is and why this milestone matters?
Oh, I guess this happened a little bit faster than what I thought. So, so we have a code name inside of our organization, and one of those is Anchor. We have multiple. And what this is effectively is anytime I talk about the back end, what I'm actually referring to is either a provider based system or this anchor based system. You can think of this anchor system sort of like the precursor to our provider based system. Now, providers inherently they have to go through a completely trustless protocol because literally a provider could be anyone. Now, the good thing about providers is that obviously you have to put in a certain amount of trust in order to make sure that that you're actually doing the work that you say you're doing, so you can get compensated. But with Anchor, these are basically servers that are ran by us, Modular. Um, and one of the big things that we're, doing right now is we want to make the system feel more alive, obviously. And a really fast way of doing that is to bring in these centralized servers online so that people can, experiment around, save files and actually be able to use the system as it's intended. So today we took the, next major step in that effort. Um, so we actually have an anchor online right now. It's in a sandbox. It's not live. So unfortunately, people can't play with it just yet. It's still in beta, by the way, guys. But really, really amped up about that. I didn't think that we would have it done before this call. So I am super, super excited about that. It means that things like, for instance, the somebody reached out to me not that long ago saying, "Hey, I can't upload anything into the storage app." And it's like, well, yeah, it's in demo mode, but once this thing goes live, yeah, you're going to start being able to, upload your files into the system. You'll also be able to start sending messages inside of the system. So yeah, there's just so much going on it's absolutely insane, but it's definitely starting to come together. And I can't wait until now this is so the anchor system will probably be in a phased release. So obviously the first one would be storage based systems, but the next one that I'm really amped up about is what we call inference, which for most people listening, it's AI. So our ability to host our own AI systems onto the network, which is going to be massive. We have, several different servers inside of here that are more than capable of handling those sort of workloads. So, if you don't have a powerful enough PC, well, just use one of our modular provided systems and you have everything that you need.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's good information to know
it's
right there.
really cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so right now, everything users have seen has essentially been simulated. Does this mean we're getting much closer to people storing actual files on the network, which kind of
Yeah.
touched on that? Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah, and that's the thing that gets me so amped up is that we're getting so close to actually bringing this thing and making it realized. Because right now, I mean, obviously we brought on the payment processing system, which that was sort of like a, hey, which one should come first? And, we decided that one because, like, well, okay, we just brought everything online, but no one can use it because there isn't a payment portal. That would kind of suck. Which, by the way, I guess I'll go on ahead and break this. We haven't released it quite yet. There are many other applications that, mesh with our ecosystem that we haven't released. But the next one that will be released out is one that's called Earn. And what that is, if, for whatever reason, you can't either afford it or simply just don't want to afford MTR credits within our ecosystem, you can go into this app. And the idea is that you can earn MTR tokens. So
That's good.
you don't have to pay in order to play. But,
Okay.
obviously, you have to do something in order to earn it, which is why it's
Gotcha.
called Earn. Um, Also inside of Earn, we have a center for people who want to sort of put together those challenges and operations and stuff. So we'll have that simulated demo out next week for people to take a look at and play around with. Which I'm pretty excited about that one because we put a couple different fun things in there that are kind of, well, it's nowhere near as good as what's going to happen in the official application, but it kind of gives you a little sneak peek into the next arena that we're getting into.
Yeah. So once the anchor providers are stable, what's the next major step?
After anchor providers, it's actually a mixture of two different things. So we have something that we call coordinators, and those are more or less sort of like uh, what's the best way I can say this? They're relay servers, but it's like having a sort of like a telephone operator that's just patching call through. That's what that job is. But having that alongside of the providers, which we've been getting a lot of different messages on Telegram. I know you have,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
yeah, I think that's
It's
all
like
you've done this week.
350, I think, since Thursday
Yeah,
last week. And I've just finished those up, I think, on what, Tuesday, something like that. So,
yeah.
yeah, it's been a busy week.
But the thing is that we're starting to see people that are like, hey, how I've got some, GPUs here and I've got, definitely storage space. How can I, get onto the network and everything? And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. We're almost there. Just give us a little bit more time. So we have a couple people that are already lined up that are ready to go, that want to provide storage solutions as well as, computational, which anytime we ever talk about that, that's mostly centered around GPUs. But yeah, it's getting pretty exciting. We're starting to get a lot more awareness, and I know you're overloaded, but it's a good problem to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, well, you're overloaded, but I'm overloaded because, I'm just not used to all this technical stuff. It's definitely different for me. So it's exciting. I've learned a lot, and it brings me joy when I see other people talk about modular and how they get amped up about it, and then like just the brightness that you have on your face when you talk about it, like you get so excited. So like it's exciting. Okay, so we're going to move on. So one thing we've talked about before, the trust system. Can you explain how providers actually use EMDR and why is it such an important part of securing the network?
Oh yeah. Well, this goes hand in hand with us talking to all these people that want to provide services to the network, because obviously, and this goes with gig as well, but gig is a little bit more. Um, it's not something that you can track with a computer, so it's more. It needs a what we call a guardian system, which is just a third party representative. But the idea and what we're telling people is that hey, we don't know you, you don't know us. um, you do have to put in a certain level of trust in order to ensure that you're not going to do anything on the negative on the network, and you're not going to just take all of your stuff away and walk away and have people that are they've lost their data effectively. which we have a couple mitigation techniques. We have replications and everything else that happens on the network, so that's not a problem. But in the event that somebody does that, we've had to repeatedly explain, what a trust system is. And basically, it's like, well, if you do harm or damages to the network, and sometimes, by the way, that's not intentional. It's not through malice. It can also be something like, hey, the hardware's dying. Um, but in either case, you do owe damages to a particular to an individual if something is in fact lost, which is what that trust system is about. And so far, we've had a pretty good response to that. And people are like, oh yeah, I totally understand. It's a lot like proof of stake. Correlating those two together is sort of there. Obviously, you don't earn tokens by putting it in there, but it does allow you the ability to earn, because without it, the way our system works is that we just won't point people at you because you're not really trustworthy. There are ways to override it from a user perspective, but you have to be pretty knowledgeable about the system in order to do it. But the ultimate goal is definitely long-term stability, which is, what we're really looking for. And we do have a locking mechanism on here. We're trying to figure out what is the most fair. I know that at minimum, I at least want to do 72 hours, but it's something that, we're talking about internally, trying to figure out, okay, what is the correct way of doing that. And again, this is also something that we are still experimenting with. So
I mean, as time goes, that'll be, what is it? It's like something as it comes, that's, you have to go through all that stuff. So, but, okay. All right. So, all right, guys, give us a second. I'm not sure if you can hear us. Want to make sure you can. We had something come up.
oh no. Yeah, X kicked us out. Well, this is
it's
great.
right here.
Yeah, that's OBS that's currently recording us, but no, X has kicked us off. So we just got rugged. Wow.
Wow.
I don't know. I went back over to Telegram and then I came back and now it's gone. So real quick, let's go on ahead and respond to people inside of Telegram and we'll continue on. We got rugged. We are going to finish the
I mean, I don't guess they can
AMA.
hear us.
They can and can't. So we're going to record this and then we're going to release this on YouTube so that they can get back to this point, which I think was around the 25-minute mark. So we're going to finish the AMA. It will be on YouTube. Sorry, guys.
Man, that stinks.
It does stink.
Well, that just goes along with the day that, we've had. It's been kind of hectic, but we just take it and go with it and we'll make it work. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I guess yeah, we'll go on ahead and move on.
What the world? All right. So we've also continued making progress toward machine rewards. Can you give everyone an update on where that stands and how it fits into Modular's long-term vision?
Absolutely. So as we bring in devices into the network, those devices are also machines. And, the biggest example, and I think the one that most people are excited about is the claw machine. And, the goal is to have it in a very high populous area where it's getting, constantly utilized as much as possible. And it's going to be, in my opinion, one of the very first examples of this system in play. Now, that one is going to be very unique because effectively what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that everyone gets a sort of like a, not really a benefit, but they see the reward system firsthand. And one of those things is that we are going to make it so that as those rewards happen, we're going to utilize those rewards in order to purchase more MDR tokens. Um, so that, all, basically the holders, sort of feel it. It's not going to be massive, or at least I don't think so. But it is going to be something interesting. Now, what our plans are for that particular machine is that we're going to end up loading it up. And I don't know if anyone knows this, but there's a special little prize box on top. And the idea with this system is that you're going to have a key that is able to unlock that prize box. And the idea is that you put, sort of lower end items inside of that machine, and then you hide the key in one of those items. And the goal is to basically, play the game and get the key. Um, I am personally considering putting in, because it's really hot right now, is Pokemon card packs, and using those as a way to, sort of, kind of encourage people to, check that out and see what they think about it.
And that
Um,
might be something we could ask, you know, the community and see what if anybody has any thoughts and ideas like what we could do on when it
yeah,
comes to that. I mean, there's different things, you know.
yeah,
Um,
and honestly, I'm a little scared to purchase Pokemon cards off of like Amazon because I've heard horror stories where it's fake,
yeah.
and that's the
Well,
last thing I want to do.
and you don't know, it might not Pokemon might be something there that's in the United States, but what
It's
is
very true.
common in other, countries.
But
So
for this particular machine, we are setting it local.
okay. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
we want to try to target that audience. And there's other things out there that people are pretty excited about. I've heard one where it's what is it? It looks like a little dumpling or something like that.
Mhm.
And when you open it up, if you get a sparkling one, people get really excited about. I'm old. I guess I don't get it, but that's something else that I consider because it creates an element of surprise and it gets people excited about it. So want to do something like that, but I am really curious about potentially taking this machine and giving our um, giving our people here the opportunity to really kind of go in there and potentially get something out of it because I think that would be really cool. Is if uh, our holders are able to kind of utilize that machine and get a reward out of it, and then we can send it to them wherever they tell us to send it anyway. um, we have to make sure though that um, it's okay because my understanding is that there are some countries that won't even allow you to win a prize, even though for us a crane machine is commonplace. I guess other places that's not really a thing, so we would have to be a little bit careful with that. But yeah, anyway, that's something that I've been highly considering too, and something that I think would be a lot more fun because we get to mess with the community. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what that looks like just yet, but
Oh yeah, it's been a busy couple weeks. So like uh you remind me of my ADHD brain. So
yeah,
but you're on it, sir. So that I'm very proud of you. You're doing great. Okay, so I hate that we got cut off of the X, and I hope that people come back and listen to us because this is something the community we like to get the community's thoughts on, an idea that's currently being discussed internally. Chris, discuss this. I know it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
oh yeah, I know
Okay,
what you're
I'm gonna
talking
leave
about.
that in your hands.
So one of our ambassadors came to us and he had an idea, and honestly I'm pretty excited about it, and we will do a post on X about this. So while it does live here, this is the very first announcement of it. um the goal is ultimately that um we will push this out so that people can see it and all that good stuff. But the idea is that what if we took 5% of the liquidity pool. And this, by the way, is the reason why we want everyone's input on this. But we took 5% of that liquidity pool, we pulled it out, we burned the EMDR token that comes out with it because it's one-to-one paired. And then we take the Ethereum and we purchase strategically, obviously, a certain amount of tokens. And then those tokens that we purchase, we also burn those as well. I think that that is a very interesting opportunity. I personally haven't heard that be done. I mean, maybe it's been done before, but like to me, it's never really been advertised. And I'm genuinely curious how the community would feel about that because, anytime you mess with liquidity, in my opinion, it does get people nervous and rightfully so. So we have, for this to work, in my opinion, it has to be well communicated, well understood. That way, no one, looks at it and says, hey, what's going on here? What's liquidity now? I think at 5%, it probably, people may not even notice, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't feel right in not communicating that. So, and technically speaking, what is it? Well over 50% of the liquidity in there is provided by us. Actually, yeah, well over that. But I still want to communicate that out because at the end of the day, I see that as something that is truthful, honest, and most important, I want to know if that's going to be a thing that people are excited about. I think it's a pretty good opportunity, but the big question, and the one that I would love for people to post down in the comments below inside of YouTube, is just tell us, where do you think that we should put this? Because I'm thinking definitely we make a poll. But should it live inside a Telegram or should it live on X? Because I don't know where the most diverse audience is, and we want to target as many people as possible. And, I'm really concerned that, if somebody doesn't see it and it's like, well, hey, I didn't get a chance to vote on it, which I know we're going to miss somebody. But I want to do it as best as we can and give people as much opportunity in order to be able to voice their opinion. So that's my open question to you, the audience.
Well, nothing has been decided. I mean, this is simply something we're evaluating, and before moving forward, we would like to hear everyone's thoughts. And again, um, where would the community like, to do this poll at? So that's very important. So after this, maybe we can get somebody or get a few people to comment, and maybe we can turn around and make another post on X beginning of the week and see. But I hate to just make a post without anybody like listening to
Without any
this
context. Yeah.
because they'll be like, what the world? Like, where'd this come from? So I hope you guys are listening. Well, I know you're not listening at the moment, but I hope you come back and listen. Okay, so we're going to move over to the community questions. So this is actually a good one. Well, I think they're all good. So if someone hacks the client agent on one device, can they access files across the entire network?
Okay, that's a really good question. And just for context, so people are aware, because I don't think a lot of people know this, is that we've created something called a client agent. And what that means and what it does is that you run this agent on your personal computer and it hooks up directly to your modular account. And it gives you the ability to be able to already today use the storage app in order to access your files and devices to where you can interact with it and view it. In some cases, do some basic video editing, which that's going to be the job of another application that we'll make in the future in order to go full-blown video editing. But the thing is that obviously if it's connected to your device and it's able to read files and write files, that could lead to some negative consequences. And I think that's where this question kind of comes in. Now, when we developed this, just to let everyone know, the way in which we developed this system is that no external party is able to talk to your device. So this is what we call a point-to-point connection. You can think of this much like making a telephone call, except it's a little bit more secure than that because the transmission or the communication going back and forth is fully encrypted using something called WSS. Um, well, actually, it uses another protocol, but WSS is the communications path. Anyway, that doesn't matter. What matters is that if somebody was potentially listening to that conversation, it would just look like garbage. No one would be able to sort of eavesdrop onto that. So that's first and foremost the thing that I wanted to share from security perspective is like it's a point to point connection and it's completely encrypted. Now, as far as this question is concerned, the only way that I can see that somebody would have access to this client agent is if they have access to that person's computer, which means that inherently your computer is already compromised because they already have it, so they could steal your files. Um, we don't have an answer for that because there's nothing that we could do. Um, that would be something on your actual computer. But if they do receive access to your client agent, there is no what would you call that? There is no bindings. There's no way in order to be able to get into your space in order to view other files. So let's say that you had like 3 or 4 different computers, or eventually phones or mobile devices connected. It only knows about itself. So the only thing that has access to all of those different devices is the agent itself. Um, which, by the way, we've also created a passcode. So if somebody goes the other direction and gains access into your modular account, one of the things that you can do is you can set it to where you have to utilize a passcode in order to be able to get access to that device. It's something that's completely optional, but it's something that I do recommend because, I hear all the time, people lose access to their Gmail accounts. So, it is something that does happen. It's fairly unfortunate. But it is a way in which we can kind of protect users. Um, as always, we're looking at other various options that we can do from a security standpoint. But at the end of the day, we built this specifically so that people can just take devices that they already own and then hook it up to this system. And as long as your computer is on, or device is on, I should say, you can access all the files and everything that you want from that device. And that, by the way, also includes AI systems. So, for any of you nerdy enough, if you have Olama installed, which is a great piece of software that'll help you run local models onto your computer, um, it integrates directly with that. So if you have that installed and you've also put on an actual LLM model onto your computer, it will detect it and it will talk to it. And conveniently, and unfortunately, you haven't seen this, and this is yet another one of those applications that we need to release out to the public. Honestly, we spent a lot of time on it, but uh, the AI system that we've created, it can utilize your local LLM models, meaning that you can talk to an LLM model that you own for free. We don't charge for it. Um, the only time that we ever charge for a service like that is if we have to redirect traffic. There are some networks that they're so locked down that they can't do the peer-to-peer connection. So we had to integrate. Basically, it's another server that sits off to the side. It's a middleman. And don't worry, that server can't read the information either because again, it's always encrypted. Um, but yeah, long story short, that would be the only thing we ever charge for. And sometimes I get a little long-winded on some of these,
that was not
but
long for as long, but you
it's
jumped
really
into AI.
important whenever you talk about security, because
Well, yeah,
security is an extremely important thing, and
that is the
we want
number one
people to
thing.
understand how our systems work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, because
sorry about that, guys.
nowadays, like, I just think about like all the spam calls I get. So, like with your important files, I definitely would want that to be secured. So
Yeah.
that's good.
And if I could do one more thing to ease your minds out there, I currently have my devices, my personal devices connected up to the service, and I'm not afraid. And I have very important files.
And that tells me a lot because he's always on me, and yeah, I've learned a lot from him about certain things. So that's good to hear. I mean, yeah, because I know how you are with your stuff. So let's go. Okay, so we talked a little bit about AI, which we've been so busy, and you've released so much. We wasn't able to release AI, so I guess we'll be doing that, you guys.
Yeah, hopefully that one's going to come out next week. But I
Well,
mean, we already have a ton of stuff to do next week.
yeah, and people have already been, talked about the AI model and all that.
Mhm.
So the next question here is, can the same AI model run on different robots? Example, like Boston Dynamics or DJI drones?
Yeah,
Or
DJI.
okay, I just want to make sure I didn't know if that was I. Okay. Or does it need to be adapted for each one?
So that is a good question. And there's actually, you can look at that question in two different ways. But the answer ultimately is that with our systems, and I'm going to be completely fair, you can technically do this with other AI models as well, but you do have to wire up some of the back end technology in order to get it to actually communicate to those devices.
Mhm.
But yes, you can get a local model to do it. Whether or not it will do it well depends entirely on a couple different factors. So the actual size of the model, the training data that it had been trained with, and how much context you also have inside of your model. I would also recommend a model that has vision capabilities, meaning that if you take a picture and you send it an image, it can process what it's seeing. That's obviously extremely important for a robotic based system. Now, what I would do, um, wink, wink, is I would probably utilize a model like Quinn 3.6, which is not easy to run with low end hardware. I will be very upfront with that. Honestly, we have to run it on our 5090. So it's not something very lightweight, but if you have the capability, that is what I would utilize in order to do any sort of AI agentic work on a robotics device. There is a part two to this as far as like the actual connecting to these devices in particular, because each provider does it a different way. But I don't think that was the subject topic or the topic of what this was talking about. So I'll go on ahead and skip it because I know how much you love my long-winded
No,
answers.
it's all right. And then uh no, maybe we could maybe that'll come up. So like you answer that question, maybe that person who asked the question might be interested in something else. So
Yeah,
we can
definitely
touch base
follow
on.
up.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have more questions, post them below here on YouTube, or you know where to reach out to us. And we do these AMAs, every other week. We might end up doing one. Well, it won't be an AMA, but we might do something next week.
It's hard to tell. So if someone ever wanted to leave Modular, how easy is it to move their files, AI models, and robot settings elsewhere?
Well, the big question mark there.
Why would you
Well,
want to leave?
as far as files is concerned, yes. Why would you leave? This is the best system. What's wrong with you?
It's a good question.
As far as files are concerned, we're going to have like a master download button obviously. As of today, you can go into the system and you can download each file um, already. It's built in. But that would get extremely annoying if you're trying to offload all of your data. Um, so actually having it to where you can kind of package it up in one little button and everything, that is something that we need to build. But it is on the roadmap. Specifically, that will live inside of storage, just to be completely clear. And that would include everything that you own. So if you've purchased AI models onto the network, which is definitely something that you can mint, that is one of those things that you can download. Whether or not you can run them is a different story, but you can download it for sure. Um, but yeah, we don't own your data. We don't even pretend to own your data. That is not something that we're involved with. But let me throw this one at you. You can technically download everything from our network, and if you're running the client agent, the way that we're making this system work right now, you could run our systems completely for free. Again, that depends on your network. If you have to utilize our turn servers in order to do communication paths, then there's a cost associated with it. But theoretically, if you wanted to, you can actually run it for free, technically.
Okay, so we're going to move to question number 4. What is Modular's long-term business model? Will it earn revenue by taking a small cut from payments, storage, or something else?
So our model is based upon MTR usage ultimately. I mean, well, we do get some funds from the token, but it's really not that much. It's completely negligible. The fees that we have on the token it doesn't matter. But the as far as this ecosystem is concerned, I think that's what this question is centered around, is that whenever users purchase the MTR token, and we have a couple different avenues in doing that. We talked about earlier, but doing it via a card because we go through our Stripe processing system, or going through either USDC or the EMDR token itself, which, by the way, if you're already doing crypto, it'd kind of be silly not to do EMDR because you do get a bonus if you use EMDR. Which is something that we promised a long time ago. We've delivered on that, and I hope people see that, by the way. But yeah, that is really where we earn our cut necessarily. Is we earn it off of whenever somebody utilizes a service on the network, and that can be whatever it is. So, for instance, we were talking about AI just a moment ago. If you utilize I guess you would call it a public model because you can run AI models yourself and do it for free. But if you utilize a public model, there's obviously a transaction occurring there. That's where we take the cut. The best way that I always explain this to everyone, and I believe there is a pricing page on the website. If there's not, then I need to fix that. Um, but the best way I explain it, and I did this for this reason, is I use the exact same model that Steam uses. Because I think it's an amazing model and it's a good model. So what Steam does at the end of the day is on their platform, for instance, you go in, you purchase a video game, and this is kind of redundant if people are already gamers. But in that side of that purchase is the fee that Steam charges. Um, so that's the way that we decided to do it, is that we just coupled it with that purchase. And by the way, that gives us the ability to also potentially run sales on the platform too. So that's kind of another interesting concept. The other thing that we utilize, and we don't get much off of this, it's the same cut, is, and you'll see this soon, is with the earn system. So if somebody runs a campaign on our network, we obviously get a small cut of that. Now the majority of the cut actually goes to the people, but yeah. Anyway, that's something that we're interested in. And by the way, that was us, not you. So
All right. So the question is if Modular has any plans for partnerships with other robotics, AI, compute, teleoperation projects.
that's a good question. And matter of fact, that came up recently. I believe there was a lot of push to get us with a another robotics based token. And honestly, what I've learned in the space is that the opportunity for having a relationship with somebody that's in the exact same niche is pretty much not a thing. I'm definitely not opposed to it, but it has to be the right relationship. And I think this is a good answer in total. And this is the way that we look at partnerships because, in case you're new here, we have a dozen different partnerships. What I found actually, and it's probably worse since you and I both know that the crypto space has lost a bit of attention just because of where Bitcoin's at.
Yeah.
Um, is that partnerships really don't seem to move the needle, or at least they don't seem to as much as they used to. I know every single partnership that we have gotten ourselves into, I thought was going to be amazing. And for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to excite the audience.
Right.
And we've partnered with several different people. So we've partnered with Vertical. We've partnered with Iris, for instance, which Vertical is AI and Iris had everything to do with storage. And nothing out of that. And the one that blew my mind the most is something that I am still extremely proud of, is where we were accepted into the NVIDIA Inception program. And that to me is massive. That's huge.
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess that's either it's not communicated effective. I mean, it was. I mean, the Inception program is something that other cryptos can't get into. That's like literally one of the big things that they say no to. And it's because, obviously there's a ton of scams in crypto.
Yeah. And
Um,
this is also like a good question because it goes back to all these messages that I've been responding back to this
yeah,
past week. And,
yeah,
like a lot of people get partnerships kind of mixed up. And I will say I was kind of one of them. So, like, there's different terms of partnerships and, what that actually means as far as relationship, so like, I don't know. It's hard. And like, again, Chris said that if it would, be good, we need good partnerships.
right.
And
Well, the
I
thing
don't
that
know
I
what
was
the word.
getting at too is mutually beneficial
Yes,
and
there you go.
something that goes outside of just simply announcing the partnership, because that seems to happen a lot within the crypto space, is that you announce a partnership and it's like, oh, okay, that's awesome, but like what does it do for what we're currently working towards? And there are quite a few things. As a matter of fact, this goes back to, people reaching out to us right now that are wanting to provide services. And those to me are amazing partnerships. It's not really something that, uh, you can announce them, I suppose. In some cases, they're actually organizations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But like what that ultimately looks like is a different story. And I'll tell you that some partnerships also want us to pay them, and
And it's not cheap. It's
that's not a thing.
yeah, it's
Um,
not cheap either.
but yeah, I always find that quite funny. But especially considering that we've been in the space for a lot longer than some of these others. But yeah, what we're looking at is we're looking for something that is very organic and makes sense for what we're doing. I'll be honest, if there was anyone out there that reached us that was, I don't know, sort of like an identity based system to where you can, using zero knowledge proofs, be able to identify yourself, to where, you don't necessarily expose who you are, but you have like different parameters, like, okay, what location is this from? And in an ideal sense, and then, potentially, what sort of, how old is this person? Like age gated content, for instance. Um, that would be something interesting, because that's definitely not something I want to do. I don't want to hold people's data. I hate that idea. But um, that would be a very interesting partnership. I honestly don't know anyone that's working on it. I think the closest one that I can conceive of would probably be WorldCoin. But yeah, I don't know about that one. It wasn't received very well from the general public, that is. So I think there's opportunity out there. But it needs to be somebody that makes sense. And I think the ones that make the most sense right now are people that are really amped up and excited about hosting services for the platforms, or again, wanting to become providers. Now, obviously, as always, we're looking for any sort of, venture capitalist firms, angel investors, things of that nature, that are really excited about, what we have going on here, and want to get involved. Um, Whether that be, providing resources, or just simply providing funds to the to what we're doing. And it's not very public. We do say this periodically, but I, I'm always careful about this. And since it's just us talking, I'll go on ahead and tell you this, is that if one of the things that we consistently tell people is that if you are interested, um, or not interested, but if you make a connection and it turns out to be fruitful, um, we obviously cut people in on the action as a thank you, sort of like a finder's fee. That is something that, we're definitely interested in. It'd be ignorant for us not to do that. Um, that's something that I've done from the very beginning. Even when Mac, for instance, was working for us, that was like one of the things that was in his campaign, is like that was an extra bonus on top of his position. So, so that's, I guess, a long-winded way of answering that partnership question.
Yeah. Well, with time, we will uh, get the right fit.
Mhm.
All right. So, additional question from the community is about CEX listing.
Yeah, that's a recurring one, and honestly, I don't mind answering it, because I believe that we have more new people coming in every day, and it would be inappropriate if we don't basically reintroduce ourselves. Um, but where we're at right now with CEX listing is that, simply put, uh, it is very expensive. The cheapest one that we found is about like 50 grand, and that includes token allocation too, by the way. So it is an avenue that we want to go down. Um, but it's definitely not one of those things that um, we're actively working toward. Now, there is another reason that we haven't really pulled the trigger on that yet. And that is centered around where I would like to have the network token completely online, which would be MDR proper, um, rather than trying to do it using the EMDR token. Because for most, or this is the way that it was always explained to me, whenever you have a proper blockchain system and everything like that, there is um, an understanding that you would have your L1 listed, not your Ethereum wrap token listed, which, by the way, also presents various challenges, and something that I'm hoping that we resolve soon is, whenever you want to do that and you have your own layer one, well, that means that those centralized exchanges have to basically write an API in order to interface with your system. So there are a couple things that are running into the background right now, and it may enable us to be able to expedite that much more quickly, um, and still give us the ultimate freedom that we need in order to be able to launch our own blockchain. So that's, I hope to have something soon to report on that one.
Okay, so looking ahead, before we wrap it up, Chris,
Uh-huh.
is there anything you'd like to tease the community about for what's coming next?
Well, I mean, obviously we've had quite a few teases throughout this whole
I know.
presentation. So I think the big
Just get
one that
hyped up.
I'm pretty hyped up about is throwing out Earn and letting people sort of play around with that concept and everything. And remember, as with almost everything inside of our ecosystem right now, it's all a demo. It's not utilizing real systems. That being said, when I mentioned earlier that payment processing works, if you purchase a token, it takes real money.
Oh, that was something I was
So
gonna ask.
yeah,
Yeah,
be
about the whole
very careful with that.
the
Uh,
credit stuff. Like
yeah,
that
with
needs
the
to,
crediting
yeah.
system. So that is a real thing. That is a real avenue.
Can you
So
touch base
be
on that, the
aware.
credit thing? So like when somebody first signs up on the network,
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
get so many credits, right?
Right. So as of right now, because we're in demo mode, we provide people with 10,000 credits, which is literally $1,000 US, as far as the platform is
And
concerned.
that's just for demo only.
Yeah. Once we go outside of demo, that 10,000 will no longer be there. It'll just disappear. And we did that because we wanted people to play around and goof around and not charge an arm and a leg, because it's not right for us to do that. Because it's not real systems. But that being said, the way in which the system works is that as you purchase real credits with real dollars, um, that would actually go to these fake products. So just keep that in mind whenever you're inside of the system, and you know, don't feel obligated to do it. If you do, thank you, because you know, I would be lying if I said that I didn't want people to pay us. But at the same time, I want to make people very aware that this isn't the final product right now, and I want to sell you the final product whenever we do payment processing. And my expectation is that that will happen very soon. Um, but yeah, I wanted to throw that out there because that is a very
Yeah.
important aspect, and I don't want to um, mislead somebody.
Yeah.
Excuse me, having a hard time there. So yeah, I really think that that's probably about it. I mean, obviously, we also teased AI as well. Um, and there at the end, I also kind of teased sort of something about our infrastructure could be changing soon. And
We'll have AI coming out.
yeah,
We'll release that.
right. But this is a little bit closer to more so blockchain development, and bits and pieces about this, so no hints. But I've had
No
a
props.
couple encouraging talks, um, and I think that's probably all I'm going to say right now. But it is something that is, in my opinion, extremely beneficial to the community, and something that leads us to having way more capabilities than what we thought we would in such a short span of time.
Well, we can dedicate that to another entire AMA if we have to.
Mhm.
So we'll just have to wait and see, folks. All right. So before we wrap things up today, I do want to go back and talk about the modular emission. Chris was right. The deadline is the 7th, guys. So if you have not checked that out, check out the original post on X. We will be picking 5 winners, 3 from X, 1 from Facebook, and 1 from Instagram. If you could like, comment, and do I think it's a demo, just sharing about a project. You can pick what you want to share. It was nothing specific that we said that we wanted, but check that out.
Yeah.
And it is due on the 7th.
Yeah. So generally the idea of this particular mission was to encourage people to start playing around with the platform a little bit more
Right.
and also finding, potential areas of improvement, which um I know that I have one that is very detailed, and I haven't had the opportunity to read through the whole thing. I know one of them was UI related, where there was some concern about how bright the text was, specifically in dark mode. Haven't heard anybody talk about light mode, but it kind of makes me wonder if people don't even know that we have a light mode. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is that, that's sort of what we're looking for is, those really good bits of feedback so that we can improve the system, which ultimately, brings in more people, more users. And that's, effectively what we're excited about. But again, the idea of the mission was go into modular and mess around with one of our applications and then just play around with it. Tell us what you think, tell us what you like, what you don't like. And really kind of show off what we're building here because I think we're in a pretty good spot where we have enough inside of here that we should be gathering a little bit more attention than what we currently have. And the only reason that we haven't really gotten to that point is, first and foremost, it's not completely live. But second, it's also I think it's also because we just haven't really put ourselves out there quite yet. And that was the intent behind this modular mission is to get more people excited about it, talking about it, saying, "Oh, hey, this is awesome." And really, in some cases creating something really cool. Especially inside of the presentation system. Which by the way is getting more features. But so it's not done. Um, but it is hopefully enough to, kind of give people the general vision of what we're, attempting to build here.
Yeah, so check that out, guys. And again, 5 winners, and each winner will receive 25 EMDR.
Mhm.
Um, you do have to reply to the original post and attach your links to your submission. We've already had quite a few, and I've actually enjoyed them. So thanks to you all who have already done that. And I think that's about it. So
Yeah.
yes.
Just one more quick note, and it just popped in my head. I'm sorry. But we want to iterate, yes, there are 5 winners. 3 of them will be from X.
Right.
One of them's from Facebook, and then the other one is from Instagram. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. You can dramatically increase your chances of winning if you just go to Facebook and Instagram. Um, because you're playing with not as many people. So I would encourage that 100% because that was the other point of this campaign. I should have said that as well too, is to increase our following and awareness on those other 2 platforms. So yeah, sorry. Nothing you wanted
All
to
right. No, it's
move on.
all right. Well, that wraps up today's AMA. Thank you all for joining us and for continuing to support Modular as we build toward a fully decentralized ecosystem. As always, if you have any additional questions, be sure to join us in Telegram, follow us on X, and keep an eye out for future development updates. And also follow us on other platforms, if you don't mind. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. I think that's it, right? Yeah.
We don't have a Discord yet.
No, but we're going to work on that when we have more time, I think. But yeah, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and I guess we will see you on the next Modular Community AMA.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good weekend.